Hello, grade 8 learners. Welcome to our session today. My name is Tuto Masudubele, and today we will be doing algebraic expressions through substitution. Now, grade 8 learners, the presentation outline is as follows. I'll be doing the introduction, substituting in algebraic expressions, as well as the conclusion. So what is substitution, grade 8 learners? Substitution is when you replace an unknown variable. Very important, grade 8 learners. What is substitution? When you replace an unknown variable or letter with a given value. So simply when replacing an unknown variable or a letter, because in mathematics, we denote variables with letters of the alphabet. When you replace that letter of the alphabet with a given value, then what you are doing is that you are substituting in an algebraic expression. Now, we will be substituting in a number of algebraic expressions, grade 8 learners, in this segment. And some questions will be based on pure algebraic expressions. Some will be in context. So the first three simply deal with a basic algebraic expression, grade 8 learners. So we have A, B, and C. And now let's look at A. A says we need to determine the value of the expression below. And what's the expression? That's 8 plus 5t. Now we need to determine the value of this expression if the value of t, remember what is substitution? When you replace an unknown quantity or unknown variable with a given value. In this case, the given value is 10. So what we need to do, grade 8 learners, is that in the place of t, we need to replace t with what? With 10. Now, very important, grade 8 learners, when you substitute a given value in an expression, what you need to do is that you substitute in brackets. Note what has appeared on the screen there. We have 8 plus 5. We open our bracket. We replace t with 10, and then you close your bracket as well. So you simply don't just place the 10 where t is positioned. You substitute in brackets or in parentheses. So that's what we have. And then we need to apply the order of operations, grade 8 learners. And by that, you'll remember the acronym of BODMAS. So what we need to do is that we need to first multiply before we add. So we'll have 5 times 10. What is 5 times 10? That will give us 50. So that's why we have 8 plus 50. Remember the order of operations, grade 8 learners. And then we can simply add our terms. And 8 plus 50 will then give us 58. Now, let's proceed to the second expression that deals with substitution. Now, again, similar to the one we did earlier, we have an expression given as the bracket of k minus p all squared. Now we need to evaluate this expression if k is 7 and p is 10. Now what we do, grade 8 learners, by now you know, when you substitute, you place the given value, which is 7, and where do we need to place 7? In the place of k. Where do we need to substitute the 10? In the place of p, so indicated by our next step here. So we have the bracket of 7 minus 10. By that, we have substituted the given values into the expression. And then remember the order of operations, grade 8 learners. So we simplify the like terms inside of the brackets. So 7 minus 10 will give us negative 3. And negative 3 all squared, grade 8 learners, using your knowledge from exponents, you will know that negative 3 all squared is the same as negative 3 multiplied by negative 3. And negative 3 multiplied by negative 3, grade 8 learners, will give us positive 9. Now let's move on with a third example that deals with substitution. There we are given another expression, which is the cube root of m divided by 2. So we need to evaluate this expression if the value of m is equal to 64. So what we do is that in the place of m, we substitute 64. So we now have the cube root of 64 divided by 2. And 64 can be expressed as 4 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 4. Remember, we're dealing with the cube root here. So the cube root of 64 will then be given as 4. So we've now evaluated the cube root. The cube root of 64 is 4. We are still dividing that by what? By 2. Hence, you see we have 4 divided by 2. And what is 4 divided by 2, grade 8 learners? I'm sure you all know the answer to that, and the answer will be 2. So let's look at other questions that involve context, grade 8 learners. So these were quite basic, the first 3. Now we deal with almost real-life questions that are related to substitution. Now we have a scenario. I'm quickly going to go through the scenario. It says here, Jack and Dane own a company that sells motorbikes. The amount they pay the employees on the sales team in rands, remember the currency we use in our country is rands, is 15x plus 25y. Now what they've done, Jack and Dane, they've now expressed how they pay their employees as a mathematical expression given as 15x plus 25y. Now we need to know what each variable means. Now in this expression, x represents the number of hours worked, while y represents the number of sales made. Now here's the question. How much would an employee make if they work for 5 hours and they sell 4 motorbikes? Remember, hours are represented by x and the number of sales is represented by y. So what needs to happen, grade 8 learners? Yes, we need to substitute into the expression. So the expression is given as 15x plus 25y. Now what we need to do is substitute x with 5 because they worked for 5 hours, as you can see in the statement there. And then you substitute y with 4 because they've sold 4 motorbikes. So left 25 multiplied by 4. And then you apply your order of operations, your BODMAS. 15 times 5 will give us 75. 25 times 4 will give us 100. We add the 2 terms. That gives us 175. So therefore, this employee will be paid 175 rand. Now, here's another question. That the geometric lines as well as of 2D shapes that involves substitution as well. Now those are the questions. We're given a triangle ABC where ED is parallel to BC. We need to find the value of x, find the size of E1. Check, if you check angle E1 is given as x plus 10, so we need the numerical value of that. And then we need to find the size of angle C. The actual size of angle C currently is being given as 2x plus 40. So let's go through this question. Because you have parallel lines, we know that angle B and E1 will correspond. So angle B will also be equal to x plus 10. And then you add the interior angles of triangle ABC, since you have all 3 angles. And we know the sum of angles in a triangle are equated to 180. They are equal to 180 degrees. We add our like terms, grade 8 learners, and then we add the additive inverse of 120 both sides. That will leave us with 3x is equal to 60. And then the multiplicative inverse, grade 8 learners, of 3 is a third both sides, and x will give you 20 degrees. Now that we have 20, we need to find the size of E1. Now remember, E1 is given as x plus 10, but since x is 20 degrees, what do we do, grade 8 learners? Yes, we substitute into the expression. So in the place of x, we substitute with 20 degrees, and 20 plus 10 will give us 30 degrees as the magnitude of angle E1. Now let's do the same for angle C. What do we know about angle C? Angle C in the statement was given as 2x plus 40, but we know the size of x or the value of x. So how do we then find the magnitude of angle C? We substitute. So if we substitute, remember we substitute in brackets, especially when you have a coefficient in front of your unknown term. Very important. So we'll have 2 multiplied by 20 plus 40. 2 times 20 will give us 40 degrees. 40 plus 40 will give us 80 degrees. Now, grade 8 learners, I hope you enjoyed that lesson on substitution. Very important that you remember the basics of substitution. You replace an unknown value with an unknown variable with a given value in a statement. And don't forget your orders of operations. Now that's the quiz, grade 8 learners. Please scan the QR code so that you go through those 5. We have 5 questions there, grade 8 learners, that merely test your understanding of substituting in algebraic expressions. And then until we meet next time, grade 8 learners, keep on practicing and all the best with your mathematics.